The message arrived at a time when the world was supposed to be asleep. 2:17 in the morning. The kind of hour where silence feels heavier, where every sound carries too far. My phone lit up beside me, bright enough to paint the ceiling in pale blue, and before I even touched it, I felt that something was wrong. The sender was labeled unknown. No number. No picture. Just an empty circle. The message was short. "You're still awake." I hadn't replied. I hadn't moved. But beneath the text, the app quietly informed me that the message had been read. It knew I'd seen it. And in that moment, before I ever answered, I understood something had already begun. I turned the phone face down, telling myself it was nothing. A glitch. A wrong contact. A coincidence sharpened by fatigue. The room felt too quiet after that, like it was listening. When the phone buzzed again, I didn't want to look. But I did. The same conversation was open. No new message. Just the typing indicator, 3 dots appearing and disappearing slowly, rhythmically, like breathing. It stayed that way far too long. Then the dots vanished, replaced by a single sentence. "You always wait this long before replying." My chest tightened. I did wait. I always had. No one knew that. No one should have. I typed carefully, fingers hovering between each word like the wrong phrasing might make things worse. "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. No hesitation. "You don't remember me yet." That word lodged itself in my thoughts. Yet. I asked how they got my number. The typing dots returned, lingered, then disappeared. "You gave it to me," the message said. "You just don't remember when." I laughed softly, a reflex meant to chase fear away. But the laughter didn't last. The certainty in the message felt too heavy to ignore, like it was built on something solid, something I couldn't see. The next message came with an attachment. A photo. My stomach dropped before I opened it. The image showed my desk exactly as it was, lamp on, notebook open, pen resting where I'd left it. The angle was wrong. Too high. Too far back. This wasn't taken by accident. This wasn't taken by me. It was taken by someone standing inside my room. I turned sharply, heart racing, scanning the doorway, the hall beyond it. Empty. Silent. When I looked back at my phone, another message waited. "You lock the door after this," it said. "You always do." Sleep never came that night. The messages continued, not frequent enough to predict, not rare enough to forget. They described things I did without thinking, small habits, unconscious routines. The way I checked the window before the door. The order I brushed my teeth. The way I reread messages before sending them. By morning, fear had thinned into something colder. Curiosity. I scrolled back through the conversation, searching for evidence of automation, timestamps out of place, anything mechanical. There was nothing. Every message felt considered. Responsive. Personal. When I finally asked why they were doing this, the reply was immediate. "Because you asked me to remind you." I tried to reconstruct my recent memory like a puzzle missing pieces. Days were there, but details blurred at the edges. My calendar held entries I didn't remember writing. Notes phrased in my voice, but not my words. Reminders that sounded like instructions left by someone imitating me. My phone buzzed. "You started forgetting after the first night," the message said. "You said it would be safer." Safer than what? I didn't ask yet. Some part of me already feared the answer. I told them to stop. I blocked the contact, deleted the conversation, powered my phone off completely. The silence afterward felt artificial, like something holding its breath. That night, standing in front of my bathroom mirror, I noticed writing in the fogged glass. 3 words. In my handwriting. Check your phone. When I returned to my room, the phone was on my bed, powered on, screen glowing. A new message waited. Blocking me never works, it said. You told me not to let you. The tone shifted after that. Less observation. More explanation. They spoke about rules I had set. Boundaries I had insisted on. They said I had been afraid, but that knowing too much made things worse. Panic accelerates forgetting, they wrote. I found a note in my notebook later, addressed to myself. Trust the messages. They're keeping you on track. The handwriting was unmistakably mine. That frightened me more than anything else. I started testing them. Changing routines. Leaving doors unlocked. Replying instantly instead of waiting. Each deviation was met with correction. You're doing it again, they'd say. This is how it went wrong before. The phrase before echoed relentlessly. How many times had this happened? How many versions of me had reached the same fear and chosen the same escape, forgetting? One evening, the messages became urgent. Short. Pressed. You're getting close, they warned. I asked to what? The reply took longer than usual. To remembering why you asked me to watch you. Watch. The word settled heavily. I thought about the photos. The notes. The way nothing felt accidental anymore. My phone buzzed again. You promised you wouldn't try to find me, they said. That never ends well. Digging through my phone, I found a contact I didn't recognize. Just one letter. No details. No photo. When I asked if that was them, the reply came carefully. You wanted it simple, they said. So you wouldn't connect it too easily. I demanded more. The answer was blunt. My name doesn't matter. What I saw does. The explanation came slowly, fragmented. A night I didn't remember. Following someone I shouldn't have. Being in a place where details stuck too clearly. They spoke of fear, of sleeplessness, of a decision made under pressure. You realized you'd remember things others wouldn't want remembered, they wrote. So you asked me to help you manage it. Manage. The word sounded like erasure dressed up as care. I finally asked what would happen if I remembered everything. The pause before the reply felt intentional. Then you stop being careful, they said. You convince yourself it was nothing. You go back. Back to what? The answer came immediately. Back to being visible. The word struck hard. Visible meant noticed. And noticed meant vulnerable. I accused them of controlling me. Of shaping my fear into obedience. The response was calm. You asked for boundaries, they replied. I enforced them. Boundaries implied consent. Somewhere in the missing parts of my memory, I had agreed to this. And that knowledge sat heavier than any threat. Then the messages stopped. Completely. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. When I finally reached out, the reply was immediate. I warned you this might happen. I asked what? That you'd have to decide without me. Without guidance, every sound felt sharper. Every shadow carried weight. When the message came offering to erase the rest, it felt like relief disguised as mercy. Erasure meant safety. It also meant surrender. I stared at my reflection for a long time before answering. I asked what would happen if I refused. The reply was honest. Then you remember why you were afraid, they said. And I can't protect you anymore. Protection. Or containment. I wasn't sure anymore. The memories returned slowly. Faces. Places. Recognition where there had been none. The messages grew frantic, pleading. This is where it falls apart, they said. I read every word. I didn't reply. The final message arrived before dawn. I did my part, it said. I watched. I remembered. Beneath it, one last line. Now it's yours. I locked the phone and set it aside as the sky began to lighten. The messages never returned. But the awareness remained. Being seen is not the same as being protected. Forgetting is not the same as freedom. Somewhere, a conversation exists that only I can finish. For now, it remains unread.